Hello and welcome everyone to Cybercast Ep91, the Transformer Video Podcast. My name is Josh, also known as G1 Hextron. You can find me Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram, G1 Hextron, and my Facebook page, the G1 Hextron. Join my guest, Jaim, also known as Victory Saber 77, and our guest, Pete Sinclair, with Botcon and TFCC. So, what's going on, man?
How you doing? Pretty good. How are you guys tonight?
Good.
Good. You can find us. You can find us at on Twitter under Botcon and the TF Club, and then of course Botcon.com, TransformersClub.com. Those are our two main sites. So
Sweet, Jaim.
You can find me on Twitter and at YouTube, Victory Saber 77, and there's some other shows that we have. We have the Aftercast, which is on my channel at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, where just a bunch of Transformer fans get together and just hang out. And then we also have an eBay show, which we have on G1 Hexatron's channel at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. It's once a month on Thursday, and we'll let you know when the next show will be airing. So now we'll just now get right into the meat of the Cybercast, which is the questions for Pete here. And we'll start off with, how long have you been a Transformers fan?
I've been a well, I always kind of break it into two categories. You got fans and you got collectors. I grew up as a kid. I mean, I'm old enough to where I was there when the brand launched back in '84, and then around about 1990, I started collecting. When you start buying them and keeping them in the package, going back and buying some of the ones you grew up with, you're like, oh, yeah, I didn't realize I was a collector at that point because I was like 16, 17, but that's when I became a collector. So fan back to day one and a collector since around 90.
Now, I see like a lot of Transformers all in the background, and that's really all I see, but do you collect anything else besides that? Like, did you have any other loves, either as a kid or even now as a collector?
Well, I was one of the people who got sucked into the '90s, buying everything and that came along, including Wildcats, Ultraman, along with animated or Batman animated and everything else. But as far as presently, no, I don't really collect much anymore. I mean, I obviously do what we do with the Transformers, but not too much collecting anything outside of what we produce. And then, of course, lines that the different subset lines for Hasbro for the Transformers. That's a very long answer to a short question, I know.
No, but it's good. I'm sure people want to hear you elaborate on things, and want to make sure that by the time we're done with this, that the only questions people may have is what is your favorite color and what kind of ice cream you like. So we want to make sure we cover everything.
Blue and cookies and cream. But my room, my office is all Transformers, but I do have one small corner over here. It's like a little curio with 6 shelves, and it's kind of crazy. It's like my little non-Transformer stuff that I've had forever. It's like a shelf of Marvel, some Star Wars, and it's like a really small shelf, like about like this. But Marvel, Star Wars, Batman animated Turtles, and then a shelf of Strawberry Shortcake Berrykins from the '80s. Wow. And My Little Pony from the '80s, and that's because I'm not a brony, but I really appreciate all those '80s toy lines and early '90s. I was just they were just so just how well produced they were. I mean, they're just incredible when you go back and look at them. Especially as goofy as it sounds, especially the Strawberry Shortcake, the amount of detail they put into those dolls that were like $6 each, $7 each. It was just kind of crazy.
Yeah, we collect a lot of things.
Any Strawberry Shortcake Transformers crossovers coming either.
Now, like we collect a lot of different things as well, like the the G.I. Joe and Ninja Turtles, Batman, like you said. But I know you collect quite a bit of the Transformers. This is kind of like a little side question, but whenever they come out with those San Diego Comic-Con exclusives, to where it's like crossover G.I. Joe and Transformers, do you consider those part of, like, these are kind of must-have for a Transformer collector if you really want to call it all complete?
Well, that's kind of a loaded question just because the all complete. 'Cause, I mean, that's assuming you're buying everything.
Yeah.
So back in the day, early '90s, there were those of us who thought that we could be completionist, at least when it came to the U.S. stuff. But even now, it's next to impossible. But to answer your question, in that sphere, Yeah, I guess probably. I mean, I don't know. That's kind of a tough question. I mean, I would think so. I would think that you would want to have, because of, I mean, even though there's not transform in there, you've got like the bludgeon, and of course we've taken a cue, not to plug our own stuff, but of course I will. We of course have taken a cue from that with the Marissa Fairborn figure we're doing, and I think yeah, with Marissa Fairborn, and then subsequent ones that are coming out after that. So Marissa's the only thing we've announced.
Cool. Something to look forward to. Nice. Going into the Transformers series or character, what is your favorite?
Sideswipe, just because that was the like many people, that was my first Transformer. My grandfather, who just passed away this past fall, I always tell this story. He took me up to Gold Circle, if you're familiar with that, like a Hills, like a Kmart, back in '84. And I don't know what he needed to go up there for. And but I was with them, and of course, 10-year-old kid, I want to run to the toy aisle. So I run into the toy aisle, and there's these new Transformer toys there, and I asked him to buy one for me, and he said, it's exactly what he said. He said, if I get that one for you, he said, you'll want them all. And my response was, no, this will be the only one I ever get. So I didn't hold true to that, but he never held it against me, and he was very proud of me in over the last decade, where I turned a kid's thing, and then what later became a hobby, and then became a job. So he was always real impressed. I always tried to explain it to him, but without going into too much detail, because it's like trying to explain to family that may not really understand the whole world. But actually, I did a tribute. We do the Timelines comics that come out yearly, and in the retail edition that just came out, I did a dedication to him on the inside cover, kind of recounting that story and thanking him for getting me, helping me get into it. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is. It's really cool.
I think we've all told that lie too when we were kids. Like, look, this is it. I just wanted to get this one, and just kind of made everything else grow. So, how long have you been associated with FunPub and Botcon? What kind of got you into that?
Well, with Botcon, I knew John and Carl from the old issue 79 of the Marvel comic. Leanne Elliott from Transmasters, that's an old school name. She put out a thing in there about a Transformers fan club. So of course, no internet, none of that. So I wrote her a letter, and she responded, and I got a newsletter, and I joined the club. I don't know, it was like $7, $5, something like that. And then I met a guy named Rick Hoffman, who was kind of the if Carl and John, I always say if Carl and John were the fathers of Botcon and all that, Rick was kind of the grandfather, because he was buying all this. He went after all the obscure stuff, like would have letters, got like just samples, got like the 35mm trailer for the movie, and all kinds of crazy stuff like that, and was crazy amount of non-toy stuff. Fortunately, I got a lot of that stuff from him when he got out of it, so that was also good. But he was a great guy. But then I met John and Carl through him, and then the first time we kind of hung out was at the Kane County Fair in Chicago in '93, and that's where John and Carl got the idea for Botcon. And then, obviously they said, hey, we're doing this Transformer show up in, the Sticks, Indiana. I'm sure you'll appreciate me calling it that. You come up here. Here's the registration. Here's what it. Oh yeah, sure. So we went up there. I said, I probably got some stuff to sell. I think I was already kind of buying and selling a little bit back then too, already. So I bought up a couple collections and went up there and was a dealer at the first show. And I was a dealer at Botcon from '94 all the way up to, I guess 2000. Technically 2008 was the last year I was a dealer. I started full time with Fun Publications in 2008, and then 2008 was also the last time I wasn't at my table. I was working, but my girlfriend at the time and my mom actually were selling the stuff. And then of course I was like, well, that's it. I can't do this as a job and try to sell anymore. So that was it on the selling. But as far as being, and then my association with Fun Pub goes back to 2005. Once Brian Savage got the license for the convention and club. He knew nothing about Transformers. I had contacts at Hasbro. They knew who I was. They knew who John and Carl were. I knew them. I knew them from other ways, just from friendships. A bunch of them used to live in Cincinnati through a mutual friend that I used to have that worked at Hasbro for a time. And then they knew John and Carl, and they knew that we'd put on the unofficial Botcon in 2004. So they brought the three of us in, and then along with Rick Alvarez, and then they'd already contacted Benson Yee. We came in to help Brian just learn the ins and outs, and then we were all kind of pitching in and helping. I kept doing more and more, so I finally said, you got to pay me something because I'm putting in a good amount of work. So I started as a contractor, and then I went full-time with him back in April 2008. So 7 years is coming up. I can't believe it. So
that is awesome.
Yeah. Next question. Did you ever think an 80s toy line would be this huge or just become just this huge powerhouse globally?
No, and it's a funny thing you say that. It's kind of the question I know a lot of. It's a question you want to ask, and I've asked it of some of the people that we've interviewed for the magazine, and you see, people that work on the brand ask that, and I have seen one person that said yes, and I don't think they're really honest. I don't think anybody knew at the time. And when Transformers got canceled in 1990, you really thought that was it. I mean, you really thought it was canceled. I remember speaking of Rick Hoffman, he had wrote them a letter. I got all of his cool little things. I've got like the letter from Hasbro that says, "Thank you, Mr. Hoffman, for writing. We're sorry to say that Transformers will not be returning. It was a great brand. Please enjoy other brands." Blah 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 blah. Now, whether or not they knew they were going to relaunch it and they were resting it, I don't know. I don't know how the marketing and all that worked back then. Part of me thinks maybe they didn't think it was going to relaunch because when lines died back then, they died. I mean, they didn't relaunch them. There was no Thundercats again in 5 years. There was no, Cops and Sectors and all those other lines. I mean, once they were dead, they were dead. Now, obviously, Transformers was a much bigger line, but so to answer your question, I don't know. I had no clue. I was young and stupid. Did they have any idea? I don't know. That's kind of an interesting question. I maybe like to go back and find that out now. See, now there you go. There's something I'll to ask you guys. Find out if they knew they were bringing it back or they were just full of it.
Yeah.
So,
and what about
no, I had no clue. I was sad when it was over. I was sad I wasn't getting a second series of Action Masters. Love that line.
See, man, I ended up getting the Action Masters by mistake. I told my grandmother and was just kind of vague about it that I wanted a Shockwave. And this is like the first time I lied to her, and she comes home with this Action Master, and I was expecting the original G1 Shockwave. I was just kind of like didn't want to disappoint her, and I was like, she goes, "You like it?" I'm like, yeah, I like it. It's fun. So she ends up going out and like, well, those things were only like $5, and some of these other things are like a lot more expensive. So I'll just go buy them a bunch of those, and then I ended up having like, I don't know, like 15, 20 Action Masters. And I was just like, oh, God, man.
I thought action figures were kind of taking off at the time. It was a whole new, with Toy Wiz and all that. I thought they were great because I was already starting to kind of get into them a little bit. I thought, the first one I got was the Jazz one on the little skateboard. I just remember just fiddling with that thing and thinking that was the coolest little thing that they had put out in a while. So, it was another thing too. You got to remember, some people like to go back and say, oh, the Action Masters, whatever. But that was the first time you really got a good selection of vintage characters too. You had Prime, Bumblebee, Blaster, Shockwave, as you said. The funny thing is, at the time, I didn't even buy any of the new ones. Well, because I was 16 and didn't have the money for it. But all I had were the classic characters for a long time, probably into the mid '90s before. Well, a long time. But yeah, for those first 3, 4, 5 years, I only had those classic characters. It's always kind of peeved. Devastator was like the same size as Shockwave.
Yeah. Yeah, it was always interesting to see Optimus Prime actually driving a truck now. And
I love that one too. God, that is a great. I've got those on the shelf right there. Got me all going nostalgia now.
But kind of piggybacking off of that, how Transformers got so big. Did you expect Botcon to get to be like the #1 Transformers convention in the world and how huge it is and stuff?
Well, Yes and no. I mean, by '97, definitely yes. That was the year. I mean, I've also told this story. I mean, I don't really ever go out of my way of making a point of it, but when the making a point of telling people. But after John and Carl decided to pull the Botcon reins back in and do a show in '97, they had talked to Glenn Howlett and myself about the four of us putting the show on. So originally the show was planning on being in Cincinnati, where I live. It didn't work out, and then Glenn and I kind of butted heads, and that's all water under the bridge. But I just bowed out. I said, "This isn't going to work for me. You know, you guys, good luck." Carl paid me $200 for my services. That was it. And then I came back on and kind of helped out here and there through the years. And then, of course, everybody knows what happened with John and Carl and all that. And then the three of us teamed up for 2004. But '97, yeah. I mean, it was already, the ideas we had that we had already discussed, the idea of having a voice actor there, the idea of doing a dinner, were all things that I think were kind of new, even though I know they probably did them with like Star Trek shows and stuff like that. Again, no internet, no communication like that. Maybe there was some groupthink, but I think all that stuff kind of originated individually throughout the fandoms. It all kind of came about the same time. I had no clue that they were having voice actors at other shows. I just remember thinking it would be a cool idea to have the voice of Optimus Prime there. And I tracked down his agent. I don't remember how he found it. It was Steve Tischerman. I don't even know how you were able to find it. I've got, and I have a bunch of that stuff. I know I'm kind of going off on a diatribe, but I'm just trying to give a little insight. The point is, it was crazy trying to lock all that stuff down. But yes, by '97, we did know it was going to be a big show.
So cool.
As far as you talking about Botcon, and this is where we're going to kind of get into more of the Botcon questions. But which one's been the most memorable for you? Theme, exclusives, guests, things like that.
The sad thing is after this long, having already been going since '94, and I haven't missed one since, and then having been working on them, and then also doing the Joe shows. I remember like fragments, which is sad. I remember like events, like that we dealt with this guest here, and then of course these were the exclusives for this show. But it really does all blend together. So there's not really anything that stands out. I remember that the shows did not, because there was obviously a learning curve. I remember the shows, the first 2 or 3 years that I was even on Transformers, they weren't running as smoothly. I think we all kind of settled into our roles, and the staff kind of changed and kind of came together by about 2010. And I think the last 4 or 5 have run extremely smoothly. I just remember there were some hiccups, I know, but we've had time to learn from each one. But that's pretty much my only memory, is that they've gotten progressively better and progressively smoother. 2009, I can tell you that was crazy because of the ad they ran for Cartoon Network and animated, and the movie was coming out, and we had just a crazy number of walk-ins. So if you want to talk about a memorable one, yeah, I remember because I would do the counts. I remember doing the count and going around the building and just counting and counting and counting, and the line, even at 1 o'clock, the line still wrapped all the way around the building. So that and the yeah, that was memorable, and then the party at Paramount, the first one, the one with Tyrese Gibson, and Peter Cullen and Weird Al Yankovic. I think that was '09. I don't think it was 11. Maybe it was 11. Might have been 11. Yeah, because Weird Al was doing the voice of Wreck-Gar on animated. I don't remember. 9 or 11. That was awesome. The party at Paramount. I remember that. That was cool. So there you go.
Cool.
All right.
That was '09. Sorry.
Okay. During Botcon, you're always busy coordinating the show. Is there a part of the show you wish you could spend more time with as a fan?
Yeah, because I mean, I still have that. I still have the little things I look. I mean, I still collect vintage. There's still little holes that I have, like especially with like the non-toy stuff. That's kind of one of my big things. So I would like to always have a little more time to go around the dealer room. This past year, I had a good amount of time. I remember I was able I figured out how to kind of allocate my time and to kind of be able to get to what I want to be able to do on a personal level. I don't have a lot that I want to do on a personal level. I mean, it really is kind of a job at this point, which is fine. You can't really complain about a job like that. But yeah, and maybe socializing a little bit more, because I don't really get to visit with any people that I do know, like the artists, because I work with a lot of the artists during the year. I mean, I see the guests plenty because I kind of am basically their handler throughout the show. But I don't really get to see some of like friends and other fans, so I always feel bad if someone says, "Hey, I want," and you got basically thinking you got 30 seconds and I gotta go. So because I really am running the whole time, it feels like. But that's what I wish I had a little more time for.
Yeah, I remember seeing you running around at this last Botcon when I was in line to get some autographs and stuff. I was seeing you go past and back this way, then a few seconds later I see you going the other way, then you're coming back this way and all that.
Well, it's like with it's funny because we all have our schedules, and I give Becky does all the scheduling, and I've kind of figured it out to where I'm at this point about where I know I need to be throughout the show, and then she fills in the spaces, and then even when the schedule's still tailored the way I want it, it seems like you can't account for every little variable. Sometimes that autograph line's gonna be a little crazier, and I just feel like I'm more of a hands-on person. So even if we have like 2 or 3 volunteers being there, I still want to be over there to make sure. Sometimes you just trust yourself. I'm not saying that we don't have great volunteers, because we do, but having done this as many times and being that closely involved with it, that there's just little things can all of a sudden you get one person that decides to have a 20-minute conversation, and the guests are never going to move someone along because they're just too nice. If you're not on top of that, then all of a sudden, your last 40 people are getting rushed through in 5 minutes. So it's just kind of being aware of all those things.
This is one that kind of goes back to 3H. Any plans on finishing the 3H ideas? Example, 2004 Defensor from the RID, Optimus Prime mold, and Transmetal Fractal, etc. So,
we looked at the RID Defensor. Obviously, we don't have a problem going back and mining some old ideas. We looked at the RID. I think there's some issues there, and I think we've pretty much given up on that at this point. Transmetal Fractal has been I think we've thrown him around a few times. I mean, we've got, people would kind of flip if they saw the files I have with all of the, I did a panel this past year where it was 20 ideas for 20 years, and 10 of the ideas were ideas that never made it past there's an idea, and I thought, that's awful, and that was it. And then 10 ideas that actually did make it to some level of presentation and either got nixed by Hasbro for whatever reason or got changed by us at the last minute. So Fractal's been in there at different points, but it's whether or not it works. You just can't throw toys, especially at Botcon. The subscription service is a little different, but it's whether or not it makes sense at that point in time. So he's been in there, but he hasn't made sense, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely. Because you try to do kind of an overall theme whenever it comes to Botcon.
Yeah. So he's gotten bounced. Pterosaur got bounced from the 2006 set, and we've been trying to get him back in ever since. And that's been 9 years. It's just whether or not you can and find the time. And we finally were able to do Tarantulas, and people are a little iffy on him, but we hope that they'll dig him. I got him right here, so hopefully people will think he's pretty cool. I have the Botcon toys to my left, so I will not be turning the screen to my any further to the side, but I'll be happy to show you the club toys right here. We do have we will be showing. I don't want to show it, but we will be showing on the next issue of the magazine, Lio Convoy. So we got the final sample of him.
Oh, with that new head sculpt.
The head turned out great. People were a little worried about it. The head turned out really good. So I think people will be happy. They were worried it was going to be shrunk too small or whatever, and it actually is a tad bigger than the Orion Pax had and still fits the cavity. So he looks great. All the heads turned out great this year for both the club and Botcon. They all just no problems. I'm sure working with Boss Fight has a big impact on that too. They're awesome.
Next question: do you have any plans on utilizing more like Japanese Takara characters? As far as we've had Deathsaurus, Jinrai in the Botcon sets, anyone else maybe?
Sorry. I realized that a couple of the toys were in screen there. So, they're gonna be zooming back. Dang it, who is that? Who are you asking me now? I'm sorry. Oh, genre.
Just more Japanese characters, maybe possibly thrown into the, whether it's Fun Pub or Botcon. I mean, we got Jinrai and the Knights.
Yeah. I'm thinking who was the last one? I know we did Metal Hawk, but that's been a few years. We did Gigatron. We attempted Gigatron.
Yeah, Jinrai was probably the last one that you guys.
Yeah, Fire Guns.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I was blanking on that one. Yeah, I mean maybe it's. I know Lyle Kaiser's kind of floating out there. There's ideas for him.
Bacchus.
Oh, yeah, I know people asking about him. Possibly. That's all I can say about that is possibly.
Okay.
Well, how much freedom do you have as far as when you want to kind of make an idea? Like you said, you had some things that got nixed by either Hasbro. How much creativity do you have there whenever you see something new? Like you kind of see these Combine Wars come out, is there like a time period that before you can try to attempt to use those molds, or are there characters that are like, no, don't touch those, or how does that whole process kind of work?
Our relationship with Hasbro is continually evolving. So people always I like to read on the board sometimes. They like to say how things are, and I always, without being too blunt, always like, well, things can change quickly. It just depends on where the brand is and how and what our relationship is with them at the time. So right now, there's a lot of collaboration. So I think people will be excited about that going forward. Things are going to change a little bit. I don't really want to go into details, but there's gonna be, we have a lot of freedom, and it's actually probably just going to keep getting better and better. So.
That's great.
Next question. Would there ever be a merger between JoeCon and Botcon, or are they always just going to kind of be...
Yeah, probably not. People have always speculated, and I've been hearing that for actually probably as long as Brian's had the license for both shows, that we were going to combine shows. And there's no plans right now. It doesn't work very well as separate shows right now, and so don't expect that.
Okay.
We need a mask con with Hasbro getting into the masks now and Visionaries. We need a mask con.
I agree 100%. I'd be all for that.
And that. Will we see more of the 3 3/4 inch figures like we did with Marissa Fairborn here in the near future, possibly?
Yeah, we will. There will be something. We assume she's going to do well, so we can't wait until she comes out to decide if we're going to do more. So we're assuming she's going to do well, and then we've got other plans. And if she and the other plans do well, then we'll keep on doing it. So I'm excited about Marissa. I'm even more excited about what's coming after her. So I think Joe fans are going to be very excited about what's coming after her too. So I think that's one of the while we won't be doing a JoeCon Botcon merger, you definitely will see that crossover at least for that. And Hasbro's all for it. For a long time, they resisted. For a very long time, it was no, you can't. The brands can't touch, and that's all been left on the cutting room floor. So the brands are touching now.
I just want to say that I would really like a chip. So
Chip Chase with I'm not going to politically incorrect, but
with his wheelchair. You know, I think that would be a really cool figure. So.
I don't even know. That would be that would be fun. It would be fun to do. I don't know how you would do it. I mean, would you do the wheelchair?
Well, here's the reason why I think that it'd be great, because there's, you know, across the world there's a lot of people that have, you know, a handicap or something like that, and every time you see these G.I. Joe figures or whatever, you know, they're all, you know, able to, you know, they're standing figures, and there's never really one that, okay, well, this guy, you know, he has, you know, the handicap, just kind of like Marvel does with, well, you know, blind people, kind of like their superhero is Daredevil, where this is kind of like, okay, now there's an action figure out there that, you know, and this guy, you know, he's a cool character and mainstream character in the G1 cartoon, so that's why I kind of thought that, you know, he'd be interesting to do.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I mean, I mean, you know, there was some for the original G1 cartoon. There were definitely was some politically incorrect moments, but then you have a character like Chip, which was like really was kind of going above and beyond to reaching out and putting a character on there that did have a disability. And that's kind of crazy. I remember liking the character. It was always kind of like your Scooby gang of Spike and Carly and so on. So, would I be up for it? Yeah. I mean, if people can keep the Joe, if they you know, show enough love towards all the Joe. I guess, what do you call it? I guess we call Joe-based Transformers characters. I mean, sure. I mean, he was kind of an iconic character from the 80s. You've got him, Dr. Arkaville. I know Derek Wyatt would want us to do Lord Chumley, which is ridiculous.
Dude, Prime Target's one of my favorite episodes. So.
What is it?
Prime Target, the episode with Lord Chumley, that's one of my favorite episodes. I just like it for some reason.
You know, if you're going to go that route, you need to do Raoul. So you
definitely need a Raoul. So.
Have Michael McConaughey there. So do a Trax Raoul 2-pack. So.
Next question. When coming up with fiction, is it a collaboration with Hasbro IDW, or you have just your own free reins to...
Well, that's kind of we've kind of had our own playground to play in for the last decade. I know we worked with Forrest Lee for a long time on the club, and then on some of the Botcon stuff. I don't think. Well, no, that's not the right thing to say. Is there any? No, we don't really work with them. Our stuff doesn't really interact too much with their stuff, but that may change in the future some. So we'll have to just wait and see. That's kind of the evolving relationship thing I was talking about. So.
Okay.
Gotcha. All right, the next one that we had up, we kind of already answered that. So, has there ever been a theme or mold you wanted to use, but the timing was wrong, and you had to put it on the back burner?
Theme or mold you wanted to use, but had to put it on the back burner.
Maybe the timing was wrong. Like maybe that's one of the things where Hasbro is like, you know, even though that relationship is, you know, grown, that they're like, you know, we're doing something kind of similar, so just hold off on that.
Yeah. Like, for instance, what was it?
I was going to make a
2007 Botcon Deception.
Yeah, actually, I was going to make a Seekers joke. Like, yeah, Hasbro wanted to do those 3 Seekers, but we said, no, let us do them. That's the real story. No, that's not it. I can't think of any themes that they wanted us. I know there's themes that they wanted us. I know they wanted us to. We were going to do Shattered Glass Beast Wars back in 2011, and then we were going to do Classic Stunticons, which in hindsight I'm glad we didn't. But it all led to us doing animated Stunticons. So sometimes they'll lead us towards something that maybe they want us to do, but I can't think of any themes that we did that kind of stepped on their toes. There's been a few toys that they had planned that we, of course, didn't end up doing.
Okay.
Oh, I need those animated Stunticons. I recently got into the collecting animated, and I think they're wonderful.
Well, yeah, you do.
Next question.
That was actually probably still one of our most popular sets, I'm thinking.
Yeah, I like it. The Stunticons are really nice. the entire series that we got that year, really nice. Next question: how does the future look for Botcon, Transformers Collectors Club? As far as also TFCon did 2 shows last year. Would there ever be a consideration of having maybe 2 Botcons per year? One on one side of the country and one on the other, or any talk of that?
That's something we could talk about, but I don't think there's any plans right now. It'd be I think the better idea would be for us to maybe have a presence maybe at another show, but I don't think we would probably run a whole nother BotCon, so not at this time.
All right. What is the involvement in the process, or what's involved in the process when selecting a hotel venue to host BotCon? I know Dallas, Pasadena, and Chicago locations are kind of a little bit far from the airport. At least I've heard for the Chicago ones, it's a little bit far. The Pasadena worked out perfect with the little shuttle that went back and forth. That was affordable, easy. Dallas, it didn't matter to me because that's where I live. So anytime you want to have BotCon in Dallas, I'm going. So.
It just hotels put bids in. And there's the further out we get, the more bids we get. So sometimes when the timing's crunched, our options might be a little more limited. So it all comes down to it all. So much of it just is the space that they have there, plus the rate. I mean, that's really are 2 deciding factors. Because I mean, you're talking you can be tens of thousands of dollars apart for similar venues, just different cities. So. That's pretty much what it boils down to. It's all about hotel and space. They got the space that meets what you need, and of course the dates, and then the hotel rates.
Okay, that kind of clears.
I can tell you they can only do $200 night rooms. Well, that's not going to work. So
yeah. Kind of piggybacking off of that question, like what Josh said, Pasadena had a great shuttle service. Is there going to be one in place for this year's BotCon? Do you know, or happen to know?
We were just talking about that on the meeting on Tuesday, and I'll have to go back and find out. I'm not sure. There's something. I know there's something for. We were talking both shows. We were talking Joe. We might have been talking Joe at the time. I'll have to go back. I'm not exactly sure, but I'm sure there'll probably be something. It's not like it's St. Charles isn't exactly that far away. So, but we'll have more information on that shortly.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, because I was kind of wondering about that because I was like, taking taxis would be kind of expensive, but like they had in Pasadena, man, that was perfect. That ran so smooth. I loved it. I don't think you got. What did you think about the shuttle service, Pete? I mean, Jaim.
From Pasadena?
Yeah.
Trying to remember. I'm sorry. That's part of the blending. That's part of the blend. It was about what? It was about a half hour, wasn't it? From yeah, because it was LAX. Didn't about a half hour, 40 minutes.
Yeah, it was about a half hour, 40.
Yeah.
That wasn't bad. It was okay.
Yeah, it wasn't bad for me. I mean, most of the time when I got on the shuttle, I mean, I rode with Josh. So, but there was, I'm sure other people got to ride with other Transformer fans, and the ride wasn't too long.
No, that's not bad at all.
All right. Could you go into maybe detail about why registration was, earlier this year?
It was earlier. I'm sorry, for the 2014 show.
Yes, for this upcoming show, it seems like it was a little bit earlier for pre-registration than it has been, in the past.
You're talking 2015.
Or 2015. I'm sorry.
Well, the registration on Botcon hasn't started yet for 2015 yet, though. Right?
No. But was there supposed to be? I think maybe we saw that registration might begin in January, end of January.
Oh yeah. Well, I know we've got the Joe registration about ready to start, and then I think we're planning on doing, even though the show's 2.5 months earlier, the Transformers registration should not be that far behind it. So,
okay.
So once we get that all, get all that stuff processed, we'll be doing Transformers. But yeah, we're not going to wait long on Transformers. So it won't be that much longer.
Will the reveals be coming out kind of like just? I know you're not going to have all the reveals coming out, but whenever registration goes up, we know that those hotels go quick, and it's an investment to go to the show. I mean, it's a awesome experience. We went last year, and I went a couple of years before that as well. But whenever registration goes up, if you kind of don't register right then and grab yourself a hotel, then there might not be one. Let's say whatever month or a couple months down the line. Are you going to have any reveals prior to registration going up, or at least maybe characters and molds being used?
I don't know. I might have already revealed it all. We'll get good press. The show, as far as the reveals go, we usually try to time it leading up to registration, just keep that hype going. So, and it all depends on when we get the samples. So I'm not sure exactly when we're going to do it. It varies each year. Sometimes we do it after the brochures come out. Sometimes we do it leading up to the brochure. It just all depends at the overall timing and what works best. So it really does vary from year to year.
Speaking of this year's Botcon, what can we expect? I mean, last year was really great, especially that Scorponok with the headmaster. I've heard that you said that that's gonna, this year's actually gonna top that. I mean,
yeah, well, we're gonna try. So we'll have to wait and see. We don't want to do something like that and then kind of not follow it up with something that's just as cool or cooler. I mean, some people will find it cooler. Some people say, "Oh, it's not as cool as the headmaster." But as far as the amount of time and effort we put into it, I guess it's about the same amount of time and effort. But I would say that this year's is more ambitious. So.
Okay.
Is there any advice you can give to a first-time Botcon goer? Come on, you're a first-timer like a long time ago. What's some things that you would recommend? I mean, the things that they need to hit up. Like let's say certain panels that that you kind of always do. That you would recommend. You want to recommend all the souvenirs and the dealer room. Do you recommend going with
buy all our toys, and then
golden ticket too.
Yeah, golden ticket. No, I mean, recommend. I mean, just allow enough time. Don't, if there's something you want to get to. I mean, our lines don't compare. I mean, people complain about lines, but sometimes people have never been to a San Diego Comic-Con. Just make sure you allow enough time for what you want to do. Have a plan. The schedule goes up, before the show. Look at the schedule and make your plan and don't just kind of fly by the seat of your pants. So that'd be my advice. In today's world, that'd be my advice.
Okay, yeah, and the schedule, like I know last year, I don't remember if this was done previous, but it was on the back of the badge, which I thought was awesome.
Oh yeah, it's always on the back of the badge. Yeah. Okay. But in addition to that, I would I mean, it'll be up online at botcon.com, so just check it out.
Next question. Any chance we'll ever see maybe a Masterpiece mold used as a Botcon exclusive?
Maybe. I've picked up a few of them. I mean, they're really cool. Obviously, I don't know what the I know the cost on all the deluxes and the Voyagers and the Scouts. I'm not sure exactly what. I mean, I know what the retail is on them, but I don't know what the cost is. So it all depends on what the cost would be. By the time we put our paint apps on them, which cost more than retail, obviously, because the amount of paint we put on them.
Mm-hmm.
So, maybe.
On something like that, because you deal, directly with, Hasbro. It's not really Takara. So it would have to be one of those Hasbro released Masterpiece. It wouldn't be like, let's say, Lambor. Right now,
it would have to be something that they are licensed to sell over here, and then even then, that was tricky because we had proposed an Alternators box set and an Alternators Club exclusive, and even if Hasbro was releasing them over here, There was royalty issues. How do you take care of that?
Right.
So sometimes it's it gets to the point of, is it worth the hassle? Is it worth when you can put out something that's just as cool using, can you put out 2 deluxes that are just as exciting as a repainted, smoke screen? What makes more sense? You don't ever want to get in a situation where you're having to ask a bunch of questions. It just gets too, it's just sometimes easier to keep it simple. If it's not going to really get you anything else. I don't know what. I mean, I'm not sure. Takara is doing such a great job with the Masterpiece, and then Hasbro. I'm not sure what we could do that would really, with the limited number of molds that they have right now, what we could do to really up kind of the ante on that. So.
Well, if
they never, but there's a lot of focus on the other brands, on the other sublines right now too. So maybe
they ever bring the Lamborghini over to Hasbro, all I'm saying is G2 breakdown and maybe deep cover, or
Yeah. So are they doing a Masterpiece breakdown? Are you just suggesting that from the Sideswipe mold?
Well, I'm suggesting that from the Sideswipe mold, the Masterpiece G2 breakdown, as for Masterpiece. I was sure. I was like, come on, Pete. Here we are, 20 years. Masterpiece.
Well, we put a moratorium on the breakdowns. We've made like 30 of them, but not that many. But maybe. I mean, it's always nicer if like the head mold's already there. So maybe we'll just wait till Hasbro does the Masterpiece breakdown and then swoop in.
Gotcha.
Awesome. I kind of want to piggyback off that just a tad bit. The formula for the exclusives, whether it's Botcon, the actual set, or the souvenir set, will that ever change? Maybe if you decide to, has there ever been talk about maybe putting in a larger figure in the box set or as a souvenir? And
yeah, one year Hasbro asked us to cut down the number of exclusives we were doing, the number of molds. This was years ago, and that's not an issue anymore. So we said, okay, we'll do Fortress Maximus as the box set. And they're like, no, that's like 30 molds, because we were saying cut down the number of figures. They want us to cut down the number of molds, and there's like so many different molds for Fort Max. So yeah, that was an idea one year. As far as something more reasonably sized of the larger scale, like a RID Prime, probably not. Again, it's what does it get you? We do very well with deluxes. Some of the Voyagers do really well. And there's not a lot, and the way the mold, especially with cost now, oil and all that, and tooling and labor, there's not a lot of larger molds anymore. So I'm not even sure what we would choose from. We'd have to go back. And we've kind of already tapped just about everything. I mean, we could maybe. I think we did have that Cybertron Metroplex.
Oh well.
I think we had him. A couple different ideas with him, but never made it past just the idea stage. I know we were thinking about doing Omega Doom from Shattered Glass at one point. But we did him. I think he would have been done for. Yeah, he would have been done for them. I know he was from Metroplex, but yeah, no plans for anything much larger than a Voyager at this point. No leader scales.
Now, Jaim, did you ask the G1 question?
No.
No. All right. Well, this is one that I want to know. I'm very curious. Will Botcon ever use G1 molds again? Box set or souvenir, doesn't matter. I need my G1s.
We had our meetings up at Hasbro last week, and actually that did come up because I think we were talking because one of the things one of the items we're looking at doing is an early '90s item, and I think the furthest we went back so far, let's see, Thrustinator was 90. Well, no, back. Well, that was 2005. So let's throw that. Let's say in the last 3-4 years, the furthest we went back is, we did the Ultra Mammoth, and then we did the Thrustinator. So we got later mid 90s, middle late 90s. So 97, 98. I
was wondering something like you had with the the Piranhacon one that you did where it was a box set, and that's one I wanted to get, and I was like, hopefully y'all did something else like that.
What was the deal on that? There was a reason. Oh, Hasbro was already planning it, and so it was still in their binder.
Yeah, wasn't it gonna be like a Walmart exclusive or something?
Yeah, so it was already something that they were planning. I mean, I'm sure if we wanted to do Shattered Glass Predacons, I mean, we probably could. There'd be again, they'd cost an arm and a leg. No pun intended. But it cost rampages, and it cost a rampage and a horrible, or not horrible. Oh, see, I'm trying to make a joke and I blank on one other name. Rampage and Tantrum. Anyways, so getting back to your question, I asked about it, and I mean, they went back and they've gotten some. Are molds like, is Octane still around? Is Gnaw still around? I don't know. They seem to think that they probably are. But then the next question is, what do you do with them? Those characters are kind of so iconic at this point. It's like, what do you do? What? I mean, we wouldn't want to do anything with the 84, 85 molds. Those have been reissued, ad nauseum. But what would you do with, if you had a highbrow or a Target Master Sure Shot? Well, you can't really do anything with those.
Yeah.
So your options when you start to really look at it, because we have thought about it here and there. When you really start to look at it and you go back, it's like, well, what would you do? I'd tell you what I'd do. I'd go back and I would do a Blue Streak Action Master, and I'd do a Ricochet from Jazz.
Back to the Action Masters.
And I'm sure there's some other ideas. Oh, I do all 6 Seekers from Starscream. So, and we do a special cone head. We'd actually sculpt a new head. That actually I would be all for. Actually, I've rolled that. I've never done that in a proposal. I've rolled that around my head. Are the Action Master molds available? If they're not, it wouldn't even be that big of a deal to go back and actually just fully engineer one, because it's not exactly a ton of tooling. So yeah, if we're going to use 80s molds or 1990, it's going to be all Action Masters.
Awesome.
All right. Oh yeah, I like that, like the Shattered Glass, Soundwave, and Blaster.
And then we'll do Shattered Glass Action Masters after that.
There you go.
Oh goodness.
I guess you kind of already answered the question, but next one being, will we ever see like a G2 Menasor or G2 Defensor as an exclusive?
Well, we're just assuming those molds are gone. They may not be.
Well, also talking about the new molds with these
combinable figures. Yeah, we'll just wait and see. My guess, I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer if you ask me for something Hasbro may do. I mean, I don't have any inside knowledge on that. I might have. Well,
you heard it here.
But the point is that regardless, someone asked me about that when I first heard about the toys, and I was like, no. I mean, obviously when they did the Combaticons in G2 colors, you just have to assume that they're not going to just But then again, you never know. I mean, sometimes they have ideas like the C-Cons and they don't get done. So if the Stunticons don't get done in G2 colors, will we do them? I don't know. I'm not big on. Kind of sound like I'm not big on retreading over stuff unless it's Shattered Glass.
Got you. Because you already did the Stunticons for one.
That too, and it's like that's so automatic. It's almost kind of. I don't want it to come off the wrong way, but it's almost kind of boring to me. It's like, okay, we're just going to do them in the G2 colors that we already know exist, and I would rather take 5 of those molds and do something kind of with popular characters, but something that's kind of out there, not out there as far as being niche or fringe, but kind of something that people are going to go, oh my gosh, these are great characters, these are popular characters, I want that. This one's got a new head that's beautiful, as opposed to just slapping G2 paint on them. Just because I think when you talk about our exclusives, there is, we do have to justify them being at the retail we sell them, something kind of extraordinary about them. And I don't know if G2 would be extraordinary for us. Now, if we did there's ways to make it work, but it's not something I've really thought about. Again, a quick question.
You're kind of going into it, I guess, at the beginning. I should have let you finish there, but even as far as G1 molds,
Yeah, I think those are all gone. I mean, we can ask again. It's like it's so far, and even now with them doing the Combiner Wars, it's that's one of those things where you do it, and everybody's like, oh my gosh, yeah, the Minosaur and the Stunticons are going for go sell for $5,000 a figure, and then so yeah, we do them, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, yeah, and then only 500 people buy it, because it's like once it gets made, it's kind of like it loses all that luster. So now that's not to say that it wouldn't be cool to do it, but again, it's
you can sign me up. I would send you my money now for it. So
you buy all the extras. I'm not like saying that it's would be a horrible idea to do it, because it actually would be really cool to go back and do them. I just don't know. There's just a lot of factors. It's like, again, if you're going to go back that far, then is there anything else you'd want to do from the 80s? But if we were going to use some 80s molds, there's metal in there, and there's some die. I think there's die cast in there too. I don't know. Again, it's just a cost issue, and it's a cost issue, and because of what they cost, can you get enough people to pay $280 for now mass-produced, or not mass-produced, but exclusive run-produced Stunticons. Like the C-Cons are great, but they don't, they don't seem to. I see a decent number of them on eBay. They don't seem to go for a lot. So it's like, and then we didn't make a ton of them. I think there's only 1,200 of them. So it's like, I think people just kind of buy them, get bored, and move on to Masterpiece.
Yeah.
Which is why we always have to be upping our game and making sure we're putting out things that are going to be able to compete on the level that's being set by everybody.
Yeah. I think you got the last question there, Josh.
Oh, do I? Is there anything that I guess that you maybe can share that maybe you kind of already did share, during the beginning of the show?
Yeah, I think I've shared enough. I got a feeling I'm going to be on TFW real soon.
All right, man. Well, hey, I definitely want to thank you for coming on. I think we've gone for about an hour here as far as the interview, and we have our Transformer news that we're going to get into here pretty soon. But thanks a lot for coming on, Pete. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. Anytime.
All right, man. Take it easy.
All right. See you. Bye.
See you.
All right, Jaim. Do we need to clear up any comments or anything like that before we get into the Transformer news?
I only got 2 comments. Dalton says, "What's up?" and Dustmite says, "What's up?" also.
So I guess everybody was just kind of being quiet listening. But now we're going to get into the stuff that if you want to see some new stuff, we're going to start like we do every single week. We're going to go through Hasbro, Takara, officially licensed stuff, Masterpiece. We have some third-party. No add-ons for third-party this week, though.
I'm going to have to go back and watch the beginning of the show because I kept looking over at his desk there, and I'm like, What is that? It's like a big dude.
Yeah, I couldn't see it either because he was like they're right over here, and I was trying to look and I couldn't really tell what it was. So yeah,
Like, oh.
you're gonna have everyone just like going screenshot by screenshot there. Uh, yeah, I think I'm screen sharing now. Anyways,
Yes.
I know this isn't Transformers, but something that I wanted to say or announce that Lego is going to be doing Scooby Doo, which I think is totally cool. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I'm not getting them or anything like that, but like if someone lived close to me got them, I'd come over and play with them. Yeah.
I'm definitely going to probably pick them up.
I mean, they just they look really cool. So.
Yeah.
Well, I guess this part we don't have to screen share. All right, so there's been a little bit of information as far as this guy attended this Hasbro product meeting, is what he says. So, got all this translated. Encore versions, Platinum, Triptychon, Coneheads, which is going to be a 3-pack. Blitzwing, Astro Train is going to be a 2-pack. Perceptor and Blaster are going to be a 2-pack as well. There's also maybe some type of modifications to Perceptor. As far as IDW Devastator is indeed a Titan class, but because he is facing all age groups, some of the single robot transformations is not much. So it seems like he's very simplified. The demo version is handmade, unfinished product. Elbow can't move. There is a Defensor that will be revealed in late 2015. So far, only Hot Spot is shown and just so-so quality. You're also getting a Scout class Warpath. Let's see, the other thing, masterpieces. This year we will release 5 masterpieces, and the MP25 is the same one as pre-ordered on Taboo or something like that. He says if he remembers Ironhide tracks or tracker, it is tracker, which is probably going to be tracks. He says it comes with a human and a blaster. So
Raul,
there you go. So we're going to be getting him. A couple of other things that I wanted to bring up. Most people that if you pay attention to if you like the the G1 Hexatron Facebook page, then you see this whenever I pop this up, or if you pay attention to forums all the time, then you already know that there's going to be a slingshot for Takara. Well, he's also going to be released for Hasbro. On top of that, they're also going to be releasing a deluxe Wild Rider for your Motormaster. So you don't even have to get the Alpha Bravo and the Off-Road for the Stunnicons if you don't want to. I like Alpha Bravo, but Off-Road I probably won't get. What do you think about that news? I mean that's pretty exciting, and they obviously got us to buy a couple other Transformers that we might not have bought by releasing this information later.
Yeah. I like it. I like the fact that, whether or not they listen to the fans, we're getting our essentially G1 versions of the Aerobots and Stunnicons, which I think is really cool. I'll probably end up picking up both. I mean, I don't mind if I can ever find them in my area, but Alpha Bravo, just so he's there. He can be, you can have at least Superion until Slingshot does come out, but they're 2 different characters, and being a Chug collector, I'm gonna want to have them both. So
yeah. So we know that this guy Slingshot, he's going to be using what's the red guy's name? Air Raid or something like that, or Firefly, or aren't they calling him Firefly?
Yeah, they're calling him Firefly.
All right, so the red guy, they're going to be using that mold, but you will get a new head. We're going to take a look at some of the Takara ones so you can get a better idea of what it's going to look like. As far as Wild Rider, no confirmation yet, but they're either going to be using the Breakdown or the Dead End mold. They're just going to do the same thing there. They're probably just going to use one of those molds.
Yeah, which makes sense.
I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Now, as far as Combiner Wars Defensor, and this is something that we just kind of assumed that was going to happen. Like the guy said, he didn't say anything about this being, the Optimus Prime mold for Hotspot, but he didn't say that it wasn't either. He just said he wasn't that impressed. But you do see the left arm here, and that is the tail end of Alpha Bravo, so that's obviously going to be blades. And if you look at this knee right here, that's the same design as Off-Road, which is for Motormaster, or for whatever, Minnesota, the Stunticons. So it looks like you're going to be getting 2 repaints already with this guy. Obviously, the motorcycle is going to have to, be a new mold.
If we even get a motorcycle. I think they're just going to substitute it with the off-road.
Yeah, so that's what that might be.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know, but we'll see.
All right, so Hasbro has listened, and this is what we were getting, and some of you guys are still kind of struggling to find Brainstorm, but you know that he's had some head problems. Pretty much everyone that's done a review, I've done a review on how to fix this problem, so you don't have to worry about it. But if you don't want to have to deal with that whatsoever, they are starting to make ones that are fixed, or so they say they are fixed. So I haven't heard anyone that's gotten the, quote unquote fixed one in hand and was able to get the head out and put it back in correctly. But the one that's fixed is going to have these little rubber bands around the head. You see that the original does not. The other sign is the fixed one is going to have kind of embedded in the back of the box 42791, to where the original had 42551. You can't see it unless you're see the box there. So.
That's nice, but part of me feels like that kind of sucks for all of us that got the original release, and it would be kind of cool if there's a way that we could exchange it or something, or you get maybe just the headmaster. But it is nice that they fixed it, but it would have been kind of cool.
Would have been cool if they would have done it right the first time.
Yeah. Well. And on top of that, maybe because they fixed it, maybe there's a future for the headmaster, series or something, some more headmasters to come later on. But
from what I heard, I mean, everybody likes Brainstorm. It was just those problems. So
yeah.
Right now we'll get into Takara stuff, and as you can see, this guy over here is Slingshot. So he's automatically, it's going to be a box set, and he's automatically going to come with Slingshot. So no Alpha Bravo with them. They changed up a few colors. They're supposed to make it look more G1 accurate paint scheme.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see all the little feet and the fist are white instead of black, which I like that. Why didn't we get that? So there he looks. Here's all these guys together. I've got some close-ups, I believe. Yeah, so you can definitely see on Silverbolt, with all this, instead of orange, it's kind of yellow here, I guess, to represent the gold on the original G1.
Mm-hmm. More show accurate.
Yeah, and you can see some, red down here, which I kind of had a problem with this guy not having any color on his knees, and there's some blue over here. Is the air raid here?
Yeah.
Yeah. But we haven't got him yet. So they changed this blue to silver. I mean, maybe they did some other things, but these are just kind of first glances. And here's the one that everyone kind of wants to see. This one is your Slingshot. So as you can see, they gave him an accurate-looking head, which I'm glad they did.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind the repaint. That's fine. That he's not a Harrier, as long as I get that head correct.
Yeah, I've definitely pre-ordered that.
Yeah, you said you pre-ordered the car versions because you're just done looking for the Hasbro?
Yeah, I can't find them. At least I'm guaranteed. And I do like the look of them. And I've always been a fan of the Aerobots. They're probably my favorite combiners just because of nostalgia from being watching it as a kid and all that.
Well, Takara has also announced quite a bit of other news. We know here that we're getting Robots in Disguise 2, or RID 2. Well, they're getting... God, what were they calling it again? Oh, I forgot what they're calling it. But anyways, you're going to be getting from them prime molds being repainted and reused for this new series. You're also going to be getting animated figures. So, like you can see this guy here. Get yourself another knockout. It's got a little bit of molding difference there. At least they did that.
The Beast Hunter's version of Knockout, or did he have a Beast Hunter?
I believe he did have a Beast Hunter's version, but I don't think it looked exactly like that. So I think that they've done some remolding on this guy. And then animated stuff. I'm gonna pick up on this. Just different color animated figures.
Are they calling him Slag or are they calling him Slug?
God, who knows? Probably something different.
Doesn't look too bad.
And get your swoop.
And what is that, Roadblock?
Is that supposed to be?
That G2, kind of the auto roller that they use for Beast Wars 2nd. It was actually supposed to be Hound, I thought, in G2. But didn't go that.
All right, so when you recognize this guy, yeah, look at that.
Oh no, that's him. There he is.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
Now this is not your Devastator guy. All right.
Yeah, that's Roadblock. That's what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, but I'll get that guy. There's your whatever character. And the ones that you already knew you were getting with the bumblebees and all that stuff. Now, there were some not, clear pictures, basically the HD pictures that we just looked at. There's some that they're not as good, and these are the biggest ones that I could find. But you see that they're going to be doing these are still Takara, the Nemesis Convoy, on Black Convoy here, for that Optimus.
That's cool.
That looks pretty nice. And you see
that sucks. That sucks.
Yeah.
Not happy with that. I thought we were going to get maybe a different generations molded Ultra Magnus, but it doesn't look like it.
You can still go get this guy in Toys R Us.
Well, no, that's not the Platinum Edition. That's, or are you talking the Beast Hunters? So that's a little Voyager class figure, which...
Also, this is a smaller one.
Yeah, that's a smaller one. Which I don't understand, because we saw the price is 4,300 yen. And, I mean, translating, that's like 36 bucks here. Yeah.
Or 40 bucks, yeah. Alright, so you're going to get animated Lockdown in some kind of form. And, obviously, the Bombshell or Shrapnel. This is Drift from the new series. Oh, look, we've already seen those.
Fix it. Yay.
Yeah, we've already seen those. I thought there were maybe a few more. No, that's it for that. So I wanted to make sure that, I showed those other ones off as well. All right, so your Asia exclusive, you're going to be getting... I thought I was done for the year, that I was done talking about Bayformers. I didn't think I'd have to do it in 2015, but... All right, here's Barricade and Soundwave and Human Alliance version. So I think those are the ones that people want anyway. So
yeah, I already have them. I mean, from the original. They're exact, looks like carbon copies of them.
So it's going to be a 2-pack. I believe this thing is up for pre-order already in several different places. All big formers.
For what it's worth, the Human Alliance was pretty nice, though. I liked the detail, at least as far as the cars. I didn't like the little human figures that came with them, but...
All right, we got some new, what are these, the Q Transformers? Look at that one. Which one is this? That's an old school...
Tailgate? Maybe? I don't know. Oh, it's Jazz. Look at that.
Is that what the, is that a 944 Porsche? Yeah, maybe.
Sure.
And we've already seen some of the other ones that are coming out, but these are some newly announced ones. Oh, just look how adorable they are, Jim.
Yeah.
Oh, and some, these are new that they don't even have clear pictures yet, but look, man, G1 style Optimus Prime with trailer and everything. Megatron's going to be got a sports car here. And from the FJ that they did a while back. And Hound. This is going to be your cliff jumper. You can see super deformed. This is easy to do super deformed little Porsche there. And Nemesis Bayformer. You gonna get any of the Q figures?
No.
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 Well, some more little cute things. These are also officially licensed. This is from Kids Logic. They're Kids Nations. These are the little mini ones, so they're gonna be coming in a 5-pack. So you're gonna get no die cast with these, but they do have the little light up feature here. Limited articulation, the shoulder, and I believe the hip and the head. I think I'm right on the hips. Jazz, Ironhide. God, man, he looks grumpy.
He looks good, though. See, I'd buy these instead of those other Q figures. These look pretty good.
Smokescreen and Wheeljack.
Yeah. I always think Smokescreen should be like Pigpen from Charlie Brown. Should have like a cloud of like dust around him or something, just smoke or something. It's always following him around.
That would be great.
Getting back into the arc. Gosh, Smokescreen, get out of here, man. You're just, oh, it's too much. Man.
They have to isolate him in his own section. All right, for you guys that want to spend some big money, here's the 3A movie Megatron from Dark of the Moon.
What?
And I mean, like, it will cost you big money. This 3A stuff.
But it's just a couple grand, right?
Hey.
Just a drop in there. You know, not too much.
Yeah, you're talking in the thousands. So.
Looks good though. Wow.
Oh, and towards the end of this, like for the third-party stuff, there's like so much play with this too. I mean, it's gonna seem like we're sponsored by them, but they just put a ton of stuff out this week. This is by Kotobukiya, also officially licensed. You know, at first glance, I thought this looked kind of good, but this kind of looks, the plastic looks a little cheap, you know?
Yeah.
Between this and like the Kids Logic stuff, I definitely get the Kids Logic.
Oh yeah.
I believe this is the one that he does come with a little bitty semi-truck as well. Let's see, I mean, they just detach and it's almost like a Gundam kit. Like it looks like they came on sprues and they had to put it together themselves. That's what I meant. You know, it doesn't look like it's some kind of solid unit already put together. You know, and I'll look at the Matrix too. So, I don't know. That's my opinion.
Yeah. It just they should have painted his eyes or something. It just looks dead.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And getting into the Masterpiece stuff, we get some back shots of Masterpiece Star Saber. I know this is what you've kind of been waiting for, Jaim.
Oh yeah.
Get those money shots. So.
Got the Brainmaster family back together, and now they need their masterpiece, Big Daddy.
It is pretty clean back there. Not that the original was bad. I mean, but yeah, pretty clean. The best looking one is whenever you put him into Star Saber. I mean, look at that. Like that is very clean. There's not like crap hanging off all over the place.
Mm-hmm. No junk in the trunk.
Yeah, no junk in the trunk. The backpack, just becomes his back. So I mean, it's not hanging off like, not gonna mention any names, Magnus, but
Magnus.
poor Magnus. Yeah, we've seen all the other pictures, but I wanted to show those off. I think that just makes you want to get it even more.
Yeah.
The fact that it looks clean in every way possible. All right, some sad news. God, man, it's not, from lack of trying. This is a message released by Kapow Toys on the 20th. It says, "It is with sadness that we have now stopped taking orders for Masterpiece exhaust. Even with the changes to the bonnet, that basically the hood, I think in the UK they call it the bonnet. But just want to make sure that the people in the US knew what I was talking about. It seems that the tobacco company Philip Morris, the parent company of Marlboro, still do not like the fact a robotic car bears resemblance to any of their cigarette packs. We have been told in no certain terms that the product must be removed and from our website immediately." I mean, like, Philip Morris, what are you not happy with here? This is a rectangle inside a rectangle. And this is all broken up here.
Yeah, they wouldn't be happy until the colors change, probably too.
But you can't copyright red. You can't be like, all right, no one can use red.
And it might be the font of the Lancia also.
Well, back here, I can't even tell what that says back there, but on the I mean, it might be the font. How much different is that from Wheeljack's? Well, yeah, it is different. But also like this, that on the spoiler. So I mean, but they didn't say anything about the font. I think that they just know that, hey, we're trying to get this. I think the car is going to be like, look, man, we tried twice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm tired of pouring money into this thing, and might just cut their losses and move on, and because they don't want to deal with Philip Morris. And this is going to be one of those situations, more than likely, that I encourage a knockoff.
Yeah.
Because it's probably might be the only way you're going to be able to get one.
Unless you're a really good customizer.
Yeah.
That's just unfortunate. It's just big business trying to shut down something that would be kind of fun. Oh well.
Yeah. Wanted to make sure you guys knew, just because I thought this is cool, because again, it's not something that Takara has done with a all-white MP10. So, but this is a new KO. So I think it looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
But this stuff, I don't mind buying the KO as long as there's not a Hasbro Takara one out there already. Then I'll get officially licensed. But if they're not making it, then yeah, I'll get it.
I would love to. That would look great with the the official Takara Ultra Magnus, so you can have him with his unarmored look.
Oh yeah, it would.
So yeah, and that's something I forgot to ask Pete if we'd ever get a Magnum figure. But oh well.
Yeah, so I'll probably end up getting that. What do we got next? Oh, not this again. All right, so getting into the third-party stuff. I'm not going to read all that, but apparently the Chosen Prime has been struggling to get in contact with Toy World and Warbotron. We've, a while back, them and I think Captured Prey as well, said that they were struggling to get in contact with Toy World, and they've sent messages, and now they're not going to be able to carry their products because they can't get in touch with them. Toy World responded with, "We have someone new that handles that kind of stuff or whatever, and your emails were getting lost, but we found them, and yes, we will be doing business with you." So everything was good. Prior to that, they had both put out a message saying that, to the fans, that they're not going to be carrying that because they're trying to get in contact with them, and if you were just kind of going out there and being like, "Look, fans, if you wanted this stuff, I'm sorry, we're not going to be able to carry it. We just can't get in contact with them." That's one thing. But then if you start to just kind of go into it and placing blame or doing or whatever the case may be, like the fans, we don't want to hear that,
Yeah.
And then it says, then they urge you to, make sure you be respectful, but if you could contact them, here's their Facebook things and things like that. You contact them and say that you want to buy it from us, and I don't know. How do you feel about this? It's just like this is the second time we've seen this, and we already know that there's been problems with Warbotron, the way that they conduct their business, Toy World. I mean, okay, if that was some mishap, for them not getting in contact with some of these smaller retailers, but they had, like, apparently the new person that these emails were getting lost by, they had no problem getting in contact with TF Source and Big Bad Toy Store and Robot Kingdom or anything like that.
For me, I don't like the fact that you're telling the fans or your customers to go do your job in a way, to like go voice your opinion.
Yeah, that's what I pay them for.
If it comes down to it and you can't get the product, then you're gonna probably end up being like your average customer. You're gonna go buy it yourself at Big Bad Toy Store and sell it at your store. But it's unfortunate that it has to happen. That for some reason the communication is not there, whether it is a new person or not. But I don't mind, if I really have, like, if I knew the owner, really well of the business, then maybe I would, voice my opinion and say, hey, this isn't right. But, if it's just like, if Big Bad Toy Store told their customers, hey, we can't get this product, go on their Facebook page and kind of complain about it.
But make sure you want to buy it from.
But yeah, choose your words carefully, but make sure that you put in, whatever e-tailer name in there that you want to buy from and all that kind of stuff. It's just, I don't really, not going to do that. Not going to fight your battles for you.
Yeah, well, I mean, even the way the internet works is, like, we could take, let's say all our subscribers or, viewers, and say, go to this person's, thing, and because I had maybe a beef with somebody, and,
yeah, dislike all their stuff.
Be respectful, but try to find out why we have that beef. Look, you can't send that many people to go do something and tell them be respectful, and you're going to have at least one person that's like, I'm not going to be respectful.
Yeah.
And then it's like, who sent you? Why are you talking that way to me? Well, X company told me to come here. They're the ones that gave me, your information. Then now it kind of looks bad on you. I just think it's a bad business decision, but,
It should be taken care of behind closed doors.
Absolutely.
You can voice and say, hey, due to certain circumstances, we're not going to be able to carry this product. We are trying to remedy the situation and leave it at that.
Now, some good news. Bad Cube has said for customers, privacy and better service, customers of the OTS, O2 Brawny and the Brawny and O3 Backland, should file their case of requesting broken parts via the shop they purchased them from. So if you purchase it from Big Bad Toy Store, Capture Prey, wherever, you need to contact them. This is what they want you to do. Replacement part description, one photo to show the part and under what circumstance you discovered the defect. And again, they put defect on there. Not like I was messing around with something and I was just too rough and I broke it. That's why they want to know what circumstance. And they said that we will ship out our replacement parts to the retail stores and they will handle your cases directly. So it should take about 1 month to have your replacements shipped to you. Now, they're not going to be paying for your shipping to have that, so you're going to have to work that out with wherever you bought it from. But good on them. I always like to see stuff like that. Like to get it right the first time, but if we don't, hey, we're going to fix that. Fans Toys does a good job of that as well.
Yeah.
Also, Mate Toys does. They did that on Quantron.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that.
All right, Planet X. They say great news. We heard you. PX03 Vulcan in design stage. Scheduled to release third quarter of 2015. Now you will have your full dyno team ready in 2015. This picture is for reference only. So you're going to get your Grimlock. I don't think there's anything over here. Yeah. So they're going to be doing their Grimlock. If you don't like the one that Hasbro Takar did, or one of their 30 molds that they made of this guy, then you get your Planet X one, which some people are being like, hopefully it has a articulated tail. They're like tired of getting Dinobots with the tails are all stiff. So
they want the color scheme to kind of match each other. Also, I know a lot of people didn't like the Hasbro because it's kind of off on color, which that's just personal preference.
Yeah. Well, getting into the rest of the third-party stuff, Gigapower has released some photos, and this is the final product. So everything you see here is not going to change from this point out. It's going to look exactly like this.
That's cool. And not trying to harp on them, but it's like, man, it's taking you a long time to get into this. I mean, we went through it seemed like the entire process of them. Hey, do you like this? And then they got the fans to kind of chime in, like, well, we want it looking like this and such. But
oh yeah.
But now finally, I mean, that's cool because these are supposed to be really big, bigger than Fans Toys.
Oh yeah, I've got some pictures of that, and you can see that it comes with like little bitty extra accessories and stuff like that. So it was really well thought out, and it's going to cost about the same amount as the Fans Toys version. I don't remember if this has diecast or not. Again, we've been talking about it for almost a year now. Mm-hmm. But you can see that he's head to head there with Magnus.
Wow. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh, super kick. That's how you do it.
That's what we need to know on every masterpiece or every third party, whatever.
Any figure. Can it do a super kick and hold its balance?
So pretty nice. And the swords, they have where you can attach the fire or take it off.
Wow, just puts Fans Toys to shame as far as size.
Well, as far as size, man, and Scoria is huge too.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's head to head with same size as Ultra Magnus, and Ultra Magnus is big too.
You got to think Sludge has to be bigger than their Snarl here.
Oh my goodness! Like, what are they gonna do about him? He's gonna be like the size of Fort Max. So yeah, some pretty cool pictures there. It looks like you're gonna get a couple of faces. You can see kind of just a neutral face. Would have been nice if it would have had some expression.
Yeah.
But
and then there's expression.
Yeah, angry face, and his eyes are red there, and then his eyes are blue here. It's just something I just noticed. Oh, more pictures. Okay. So you can store his weapons on his back. And it looks like here's one head, but the other one is obviously attached. So, all right, moving on. Oh, I think these are more pictures of him.
Wow.
No, wait. This one's Fans Toys. All right, so this is Fans Toys Sever, and this is the test shot. So this is not final, but we just looked at Giga Powers, and now we're taking a look at this one. I like them both, but again, this is a test shot. So any, like if this red plastic, doesn't look as good as what you would kind of expect, that's because they're, it's a test shot. But if you've already invested your, money and time into the first two Dinobots by Fans Toys, you're probably just gonna kind of stick on that, that wagon there.
Yeah. Now, this is just a random question, but do you like when third parties, when they're doing their pictures, to have some type of, diorama that they have to display it on, or do you just want like a nice, like, let's say, neutral background, black background or something?
I would rather just have some kind of plain background, just because I don't want to like look at this with the background and be like, man, it looks really cool, and all it is me thinking in that setting, which I don't have, obviously. I think that looks cool. So give it to me as plain as possible, to where the only thing that, getting my attention is the figure. Because like right now with this, I'm looking at the background, I'm looking at the figure, looking at the floor. So my attention is going all over the place. My little ADD starts kicking in, so. But
I'm gonna be honest. I don't really like the dinosaur mode.
Me neither. These legs are a little funny.
Yeah, Gigapower looked a lot better.
And again, this is, not as good quality plastic, so I guess I gotta point that out, because I mean, it does look like cheap plastic, but that's not what they're gonna be using. But those legs, I don't like the way that they look. And also, well, I guess you're gonna have the 3 screws facing out in dyno mode, but I guess that's so you're gonna rotate this whenever he's in his bot mode, so you won't have those 3 screws. So it was a double-edged sword. So these front ones, okay, the back ones, okay, but these front ones, hopefully they bend, because let me look at him right now. Yeah, okay, so I'm looking at, okay, the reason why it looks weird is because the G1s, they go out like this and then come back.
Yeah.
Okay, so hopefully that they just didn't transform it properly, and that can bend the way that we want it to. All right, let's see. All right, and G Creations, I believe this is final as well. Don't forget. I mean, just kind of a reminder. There's like 20 different companies doing Dinobots out there. This one's going to be one of the combiners, along with Toy World.
And Fans Project.
Oh yeah, and there's Fans Project as well.
And then Planet X, if you want the Paul Cybertron looking ones. Yeah, they're all over. But yeah, these guys are the bigger ones. So.
Yeah, he's gonna be a big combiner.
Mm-hmm.
What's next? Okay, so Unique Toys provider, aka Octane. What do you think about this? I mean, we always kind of get a little excited about triple changers, but
I have to see the other modes, but I mean, this thing's going to be what, like 9 inches tall?
So it's going to be 8.2 inches, so it's supposed to go with your classic stuff.
Classics or Masterpiece?
Let me. It's 8.2 inches, so whatever that fits in scale with.
I mean, I really wasn't a fan of the classics Octane back in the day. This would be a really a better substitute, but
yeah, I believe it's going to go with your Classics Generations figures because it's 8.2 inches. The Jumbo Jet, I think, looks really nice. And you kind of see how they did with the tires here. Okay, nice again. You're getting some little kibble back here. But that looks ugly. It might be.
Yeah, but once it's painted, I mean, if that's chromed, it might look a little, it'd be better.
I just think that this should have been larger. And like I understand it's a triple changer, so it's one of those things to where you're not going to have three great looking modes. Not all the time. Like people say, Generation Springers, like all three of them were great, and I was like, well, they sacrificed in certain places, but they sacrificed in the right places. Here, you got the jet mode. And then whenever you go into tanker mode, this tanker is like so small here, and it's right there up against the back. So there's no spacing or gap. It wouldn't matter if it was up against the back if it was larger, I think.
Yeah.
Kind of like we see with with a Motor Master or something like that. It's really small unless you wanted to pretend that was like a missile or something instead. That's what kind of my issue with it is, and that's why I was like, yeah, it's a pass for me. The robot mode looks pretty good.
Yeah. Quick comment: Dalton says that UT Provider looks cool, better than that crappy Deluxe from the Universe line. I agree. And Steve Cass says the Sever is mistransformed in Dino mode, which really makes it look worse than other official picks. We said.
Okay. And that's what I thought. I was looking at it, I was like, something's just off about this. All right, this guy's going to be starting to show up at your house if you did order them. What is it, the Fail Saber? Now, this does come with a few things. This chrome gun was an exclusive to a certain website. He does come with a few extra goodies, though. You can see some different pawls here. You also get a couple of new faces for your Bovus and Fortis. I also get a few other things. Come on, where are you at, picture? All right, you get little stoppers here as well to go on the bottom of the foot plates. That way, if you wanted to kind of give your Feral Rex a wide stance, then it's gonna stick there, stay more secure instead of like plastic sliding on your shelves.
That's a really nice idea. I do like that.
So you get both cards. You get the Feral Rex card as well. Now you also get these two extra handles, because if you own the figure, you know that you have, the handle is the top and the bottom piece, but it doesn't separate down the middle. Well, these are made to where it separates down the middle, to where now you can give Feral Rex just these two crazy looking swords split in half. And the secret member, you can see him, he stores in there, the Mastermind Creations little penguin, the mascot.
I was like, what the hell?
Well, I want him. Oh yeah, there you go. The penguin on his skis. So some nice little extras in there. I bought 5 figures, to make Feral Rex. It would have been nice if I could have got, some of those. I had to buy, the 6th guy. It doesn't necessarily go with him.
Yeah. But, I mean, it's like TFC here that does their kind of separate set at the end, like the Wings of Uranus or Rage of Hercules type stuff.
Yeah.
But this, you get a figure with it.
Well, now you can see that you got all 5 figures together. I don't think that we've taken a look at Blades yet. This is the only picture that I have of him. But there he is. So next week we'll probably have a ton more pictures of Blades, but there's the unit all together.
I'm almost tempted to buy that just because I know that Hasbro's doing a Defensor, but I don't know. I'm really on the fence of wanting a large, bulky Defensor. Not happy with my G1. Too small.
It is small. I still need a G1 Defensor. All right, and this is from Warbitron. There's the two, Quantron and Make Toys Quantron and Orbitron, and I forget what we've taken a look at. So here you have Lightspeed. Have we taken a look at this guy already? I don't even remember.
I don't. Probably, but not like in depth.
Well, we're going quick. We're going to try to be done here in the next 10 minutes. So yeah, I think we've looked at this guy already. You get 91 episodes and you start talking like each time a couple hours about Transformers and looking at pictures, then eventually it all starts to kind of run together.
Yeah. It's like what Pete was saying. I don't have a real memorable moment in Botcon. It's kind of all blended. Times it's kind of like this.
Yeah, I can't even tell you what. And here's their. Oh yeah, I think we took a look at him. So here's just some quick pictures of.
Yeah, we did see this guy.
Yeah, because his missiles shoot in the back of his cockpit there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I couldn't even tell you what we talked about last Cybercast. So it's just all run together now. Now we have several things from Play With Us 2. This is the Mighty Muscules.
Cool. Stranglehold.
Yeah. And kind of get an idea there for the face. The helmet's going to be separate, it looks like, as well. You can get an idea for the armor. And you're going to have Dad on there. All right. Anything else on that? No. Okay. All right, and for Encore, one lucky winner is going to have the opportunity to get one of these through crowdfunding. Next month, it's going to be, it says, a generous backer and also lucky. So it's probably going to be someone that donates quite a bit, but they're going to have their own face on there or whatever. So.
That's cool. I always wanted to be Diver. Actually, I'd rather be Sunstorm there. That would be so cool if they had an actual third-party company out there that did that. Like, so do you want to be a pretender? Yeah, I want to be Metalhawk, man. Okay.
Well,
they're in your head, stick you on there.
There is a company that does that. I forgot what their name was, but like. You send them a picture or something like that, and they basically make a sculpt on, and you get to pick, whatever 6-inch or,
yeah,
1/6 scale or 3 3/4 or something like that. But it's expensive. It's like you get the figure or whatever. They don't just send you the head. It's like they already assemble it or whatever, and it's like 100 or more.
Oh well.
Yeah, so it's a bit expensive, and it's not completely accurate, but you could look at it and be like, yeah, I kind of see me. So.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be cool to be like Metalhawk or even a Godmaster if they could make those in a 3 3/4 inch and all that. That would be cool. But yeah.
All right, the next thing is from also Play With Us 2. They're going to have a crowdfunding exclusive BMOG set. Numbers will be extremely limited. They said less than 200 units. So it begins in February. Our prices for our crowdfunding campaign will not be announced until it begins in February. So you can go over there, and these little things, they attach to Ninja Turtles, Transformers, Masters of the Universe, all that stuff. So
yeah, anything that has a 5mm peg, hole, whatever, it will work with.
Are we done with Play With This too? No. Okay. Now you can see the sculpt, and they said this is still a work in progress. This is without the armor, but I believe this is a Desolator. and Bloodbath. There's a look at them. And they're going to be doing these different heads, but they're also, with this 3-pack or whatever, they're also going to be coming with these clear stands. So that way, even if you're not displaying them with one of these heads, or let's say you throw this head on the guy, well, you're going to have to take one off, and instead of putting that back in the package and just having these, in the package as well, now you can put them on these little clear stands, and there's just heads floating in the air.
Yeah.
At least you have some way to display them that looks kind of cool.
Yeah. Maddie should have taken cues from this for their Master Universe Classics line. But, oh well. Who are we getting? Oh, those Dino Riders?
That's what actually I was looking at.
Or Dino Saucers.
I was thinking Dino Saucers, to be honest, is what I was thinking. Here's Bricks and Stone. It says they have ball joints on top and bottom of the head because it's 2 characters. One, as you see here, there's eye, the nose, mouth, and the
That's so
chin.
cool.
And you flip it, and you can definitely see the robot. I mean, that's a fantastic job. It looks really good. So, and then you're gonna have Sheriff Wormwood over here as well.
Maybe a Tex Hex.
Looks like something from Bravestar.
Yeah, Tex Hex there.
And I forgot what the one-tooth walrus pretender was. He came out in Series 2.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, and someone was like, who could they repaint him as? And then someone like showed this picture over here from Thundercats. So, yeah, I can see that. Yeah. This is also play with this too. I told you there was a bunch from them. So if you want, this is actually on my Facebook page, and it's also on their Facebook page as well. If you want, someone came up with a game. It's Match Champions page, and it's available for free. You can print it off. You can download it. It's kind of a dice and card game or whatever. So if you're into those things, like, I have no idea how to play those things, but what they cost and how many points, and you're battling each other. So you guys that play like those card type games, you probably know exactly what this is. So there is a game for these figures and characters. So if you want to do that, it's absolutely free. And what's the last thing here? Oh, at the very end, it's your boy Clone Droid.
Right on. It's only been, what, 2 years? Or so.
No, James, remember, like, their big thing was like, dude, we're going to have die cast in this guy. Well, apparently things have just taken so long that they ditched the die cast.
Ditched the die cast, the whole thing that they were promoting. This is going to be die cast. This is going to be die cast. No. Wow.
So, yeah. Different head. They're gonna have die cast. I believe this is gonna be larger as well. So, but
gosh, because they can't keep up with Mastermind Creations. They've already done what, 4 versions of it. So they're like, can't do it. They would have done themselves a huge favor if they would have just gone the route of doing a great shot, do some retooling. Use the same mold in a way, or do a Shadow Maru. But I don't get why they did that. And then take out the diecast. We're gonna have diecast, and then no, we're not gonna have diecast.
That's what they were promoting. They're like, we're
such
gonna
a tease.
Diecast. He's gonna be big, and like every time they kept on showing the pictures, they're like, look at this diecast, and now let's scrap that idea. So.
Yeah.
Anyways, before we end the show, I know it was a long show, 2 hours long here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. We had a great guest, Pete. If you are tuning in late, definitely go back and watch that part. And it's going to be on his left shoulder. He didn't realize it at the very beginning of the interview. He had your Botcon figures lined up right here
Yeah.
that you're gonna be getting. So if you want to go back there and just kind of look there and see what you can find, then yeah, he wasn't able to show them off to us, but we kind of saw them on accident. And so if you want to look at that, ends up correcting it. But any comments before we get out of here?
Oh, let's see here. ETB good. Cybertron Con 2013 Masterpiece Grimlock exclusive by Takara is on clearance for $180 at BBTS. Is that a good deal?
Which one is it?
Just 2013 Masterpiece Grimlock. That was, I guess, an exclusive at Cybertron Con 2013.
I mean,
so many different versions.
Yeah, there's a ton of versions that I don't even think that it matters. Like what it was an exclusive somewhere, you know. I would get whatever one's cheaper to you. Whatever one's cheaper. If it's the Hasbro version, if it's the King Grimlock, if it's, you know, Takara, if it's some type of exclusive, whichever one. And don't be bothered with the little Grimlock chair because that's just a cheap piece of crap anyway. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's just whatever you want.
It's hard for me to say that $180 for that is a good deal when I bought mine for, I don't know, like $70 or something like that. Or no, because I bought it off eBay, you know, a couple years ago, and I think I paid, no, it was like $110 is what I paid for it.
I got mine for $60, Toys R Us. That was the first like masterpiece figure that got me into the actual line. I had MP1 just because I was like, okay, this is cool, but I didn't really get into it. And then I saw that because it was the first Hasbro exclusive at Toys R Us. I never did pick up the Seekers at like Walmart and all that, but went back and got those again. But
oh, because they didn't have the chest fixed back then?
No. It was the MP3.
Oh, they still don't have the chest fixed.
They had it was the MP3 molds. We got the Skywarp, which was better than the Takara version because it had the Tampograph stickers on, and then got the nice G1 more looking MP3. So, but yeah. Other comments. Let me see here. Get that. We had ETB Good says looks like a Scud missile might be in the trailer of the tanker or the provider. Trans 5 says, well, it's a triple changer, so I can live with one mode not being as good as the others, and that's true. You're always going to lose out on a triple changer stuff. ETB Good says also keep those enemies at bay with those headstands. I like those headstands. It was nice to actually kind of see the added incentive towards the customer, the fans and stuff. But Kratos the Dark 07 says, well, looks like Pete was right. Those toys he hid are now on TFW.
What?
So, who knows? We'll see.
Where are they on TFW? Why were they? Someone just taking screenshots of?
I don't know. Maybe.
All right. Is that it?
Yeah, pretty much. Everyone else. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thanks a lot for joining us. Video form will be up probably about 30 minutes to an hour. There's also a show tonight, but Jaim, why don't you tell people where they can find you and about the shoes?
You can find me on Twitter and YouTube, VictorySaber77, and the next show we have coming up is the Aftercast, which will be on my channel at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. We also have an eBay show, which is once a month, and so we'll let you know when that happens, but it will be on G1 Hextron's channel on Thursday at 10 a.m. And that's...
All right, and you can find me, G1 Hextron, on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and my Facebook page is the G1 Hextron. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed. We'll see you on Aftercast here in about an hour, so peace.
See ya.